a graceful bird glided over the tranquil waters. Feeling deeply touched by your loving, intimate presence, I took out my notebook to express this inner gift that was flowing through me. After writing several lines, I felt filled with joy as the last words poured out of me onto paper. Just as I set down my pen, you asked me, "What are you writing?" "May I read it out to you?" I replied. You nodded, and so I began. For most people who are creative, who are artists, these words just flow from within, and one can never take the credit of that for oneself. It is nothing but Baba who is operating through each one of us. You see so many things. If you listen to Madhusudan's bhajans during the earlier times when Baba was physically present, the the lyrics, the meaning, it is so deep, it is so profound that he could not have written. It is only Baba's prerna, Baba's inspiration that has created such a beautiful treasure of bhajans. So you're coming down to reading, O ancient one, whatever I see, bless me to feel that it is you who have become the object of my sight. That means whatever I see, you must bless me in such a way that I am seeing you in that particular sight, in that particular person, in that particular thing. Oh Lord, whatever I touch, bless me to feel that it is you who are touching me through it. That means, irrespective of what I touch, I shouldn't get the impression that I am touching something or somebody, or something or somebody is touching me. Give me that inspiration, give me that feeling that it is you who is touching me through that thing. O silent one, whenever I hear a sound, bless me to know that it is your silence that is breaking through it. That means anything that I hear, I should be able to feel that it is not just a sound, but it is your silence that is breaking through those particular words and entering into my being through my ears. O Awakener, whenever I walk, bless me to take each step in your remembrance, leading me to your abode in me. In each one of us is Baba's abode, Baba's home, where he can be found. So each step that I take, I should remember you as if I am, that particular step is leading me to your abode within me, in me. O compassionate one, breathe your melodious name into my ingoing and outgoing breath. Like how Baba had once demonstrated. That's what I got to know from one of the Savasis, that Baba demonstrated that when you take a breath in, there should be ba. And when you take the breath out, when you inhale and exhale, ba, 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 ba. And that is why we say, har dam. We say har dam Baba ka naam lena. Har dam means literally har dam. Every breath, we should take his name like ba, 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 ba. So it says over here, O compassionate one, breathe your melodious name into my ingoing and outgoing breath, so that my life becomes a breeze wafting into your loving presence. That means all the time I am only feeling your presence. O Divine Father and Mother in one, I beseech you, I beg of you, I pray to you, I implore you, I beseech you wholeheartedly to grant this humble prayer. So this is where the prayer ends.
When I finished reading, you flashed a smile at me, but remained silent. The thoughts I had written had delighted my mind, But after mulling over what was expressed through words, I felt I was losing the original perfume of their meaning, even though I was sitting right next to you. These lines that I wrote are like a rich cake with almonds, raisins, and beautiful icing, which I have hardly tasted. Pondering why these lines did not have lasting impact on me, I turned to you and inquired, may I ask you something? Of course, you responded. Why don't I continue to experience the essence of the words that I composed for you? Don't be anxious, you said. It's a good beginning. You're getting ready to open the gates of your heart for the breeze of pure awareness to flow continuously through you. Then, this awareness, with its luminosity, will make you feel whatever I have inspired you to write. I was touched by your encouraging words, but after waiting for some time, I again felt compelled to break the silence. Can I ask you something more? Very affectionately, you said, don't hide anything from me. Although I already know your innermost thoughts, I want you to always open your heart to me. Okay, is it not breath that gives life to all these sense experiences? Yes, you're right. Live with awareness of the life giving breath. It is your breath filled with my remembrance that you must dwell. The breath itself will readjust your life, bringing it in tune with my wish for you. Breath has a spiritual importance, for it links you to something higher that governs all life. And when you take my name, you will experience that it has hundreds of tender and sweet nuances and is never repetitious. Don't you think this will solve your problems? Yes, it will, I answered. I don't know what prompted me to add. Life is a living miracle, and in its purity, it is ever reflecting your being in me. But how it gets clouded by thoughts, I do not know. Before I could say anything more, you gave me a comforting look of assurance, and I felt you were saying, in time you will come to know. Just as the seed that is sown blossoms in its own season. We parted in silence, and as you began to walk away, I inwardly prayed to you with all my heart. Let the immaculate awareness latent in me be released, that I may live the prayer that flowed through me as a gift of your grace.
Fine. These chapters are a little small, so we'll go on to the next chapter, of course. All right. When I finished reading, you flashed a smile at me, but remained silent. The thoughts I had written had delighted my mind, but after mulling over what was expressed through words, I felt I was losing the original perfume of their meaning, even though I was sitting right next to you. In other words, many times it happens that the profundity of the feeling cannot be fully adequately expressed in words. There is a feeling that is happening, and we try to express it in words. And by and large, most of the creative people, they feel that they are not able to capture that feeling in words. The words are insufficient or not competent enough to capture the feeling, and that has been the experience of most of these people. Especially even in our Baba community, we somehow feel that the ghazals or the bhajans that have been created, by those artists, when you put them in words or when you at least translate them, it really massacres the real meaning of it. So he also felt a little incomplete, that I have not been able to put it right. These lines that I wrote are like a rich cake with almonds, raisins, and beautiful icing. which I have hardly tasted. I have written those lines, but I have not tasted the inner meaning of those lines. I have not experienced what I am writing. That's what he's trying to say. Pondering why these lines did not have lasting impact on me, I turn to you and inquire. May I ask you something? See, these creativity comes to many people, but they come in spurts. It's not a continuous, perennial feeling, consistent feeling. It comes in spurts. So exactly, he's asking, why is it that I do not have the last? It did not have the lasting impact on me, because all of a sudden it comes and then something of worldly something comes. I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to run here, run this errand, and it's gone. So he's asking, may I ask you something? Of course, you responded. Why don't I continue to experience the essence of the words that I composed for you? Why is it he was utsuk? He was impatient. Why is it that I'm getting those feelings and they are just going away? Why? Utsuk is curiosity. Okay, then I thought utsuk would mean that I'm anxious to know. Anyway, so here Baba says, don't be anxious. Don't be anxious. The example that he gives is that everything that is created in time takes time. In other words, a seed is sown and it will come into a plant or a tree or whatever in time. Don't be very impatient about it. Don't be anxious, you said. It's a good beginning. It's a good beginning. You are getting ready to open the gates of your heart for the breeze of pure awareness to flow continuously through you. The breeze of pure awareness. In order that it should flow through us, the gates have to be opened, and there is a lot of purification that is required within us. And once the gates are open and the beginning is made, the pure awareness will flow. And as it is flowing, the experience of that person is that I am not the doer of anything. It is Baba who is reflecting his being through me. So here Baba said, then this awareness with its luminosity will make you feel whatever I have inspired you to write. In other words, here Baba is saying that it is I who have inspired you to write. And you will be able to feel all that I have inspired you to write in time. Don't be anxious. I was touched by your encouraging words. But after waiting for some time, I again felt compelled to break the silence. Can I ask you something more? Very affectionately, you said, don't hide anything from me. Although I already know your innermost thoughts, I want you to always open your heart to me. We have seen this, that Baba is the all-knowing one, but he always encouraged his lovers to speak up, to be frank and to speak up as to what is going on with it. Pia, Pia, would you please? Yeah, there was Pia. Yeah, okay, fine. Thank you, dear. Very affectionately, you said, don't hide anything from me. Although I already know your innermost thoughts, I want you to always open your heart to me. Okay, is it not breath that gives life to all these sense experiences? All the sense experiences, sight, touch, smell, hearing, etc. It is there only because the mind is there. And the mind is there only as long as the breath is there. The breath, incoming and outgoing breath is there. If the breath is not there, the mind, it gets, I wouldn't say annihilated, but it is not able to express, it is not able to function. And when it doesn't function, you don't experience any of the sense feelings. Yes, you are right. Live with awareness, sorry, live with awareness of the life-giving breath. That means be aware of your life-giving breath. It is in your breath filled with my remembrance, that you must dwell. That means you must dwell in my remembrance with every breath. That means at every breath, you must remember me, you must keep me company. The breath itself will adjust your life, bringing it in tune with my wish for you. So, what will happen? But once before, Baba had said in one of the discourses that we have a whole heap full of garbage of samskaras, which will evoke or provoke all kinds of thoughts and feelings. They will be good, they'll be bad, they'll be ugly, they'll be vulgar, they'll be sinful, they'll be anything. But Baba says if you keep taking my name, when you get such thoughts and feelings, then that such thoughts and feelings will not bind you into further karma. That's what he said. So here Baba, what Baba is saying, that as you continue taking my remembrance and my name while you are breathing, that breath will modify itself, your very being. That means my name's inclusion in your breath will adjust everything in your life. That's what Baba is trying to say. This is how I would interpret. I repeat, the breath itself will adjust your life. That means when we keep remembering Baba, the breath will adjust the experiences of our life. It will bring in tune with my wish for you. Breath has a spiritual importance, for it links you to something higher that governs all life. Breath is that which links us to something higher, our higher self, in fact, which links us there. And if that breath is infused with the pure name of beloved Baba, then the entire gamut of the game will change. That is the power of the name, of Baba's name, of God's name, that it will alter itself, it will change, it will adjust, it will modify our own lifestyle, our own life. And when you take my name, you will experience that it has hundreds of tender and sweet nuances. Sweet nuances would be distinctions, but very subtle distinctions. You may not be able, they are not gross, they are very fine, fine tuned nuances, and is never repetitious. Repetitious. It is not a repetition. When you are taking my name, you will see that every moment it is not repetitious. It will keep changing. Don't you think this will solve? Don't you think this will solve your problem? We always say that just taking Baba's name may or may not solve our problem, but it will give us the right way of attending to our problem. It will make us take spiritually matured decisions by which we will be able to handle our problems more efficiently, more impactfully. It may not solve our problem. So Baba says, don't you think this will solve your problems? Yes, it will, I answered. Okay, sorry. Here it has a different nuance. Here the question is, don't you think it will solve your problem? That way. But I took it the other way around, that it may or may not solve the problem. So I stand corrected here. Don't you think this will solve your problems? Yes, it will, I answered. I don't know what prompted me to add. Life is a living miracle, and in its purity, it is ever reflecting your being in me. But how it gets clouded by thoughts, I do not know. So the author is saying, Bal Natu is saying that life is a living miracle. Every moment is a miracle. How is it that I'm speaking? How is it that we are able to hear? How is it that we are able to reflect to every moment in our life? So he says, I know it's a miracle, but somehow how it gets clouded by thoughts, I do not know. That means instead of being focused on the miracle that is life, instead of being focused on continuous wholehearted remembrance of the Lord, we get overtaken, we get clouded by the thoughts. But that, I think, that is the way we progress. We take 7 steps forward, 3 steps backward, but then we have to only count the 4 forward which you have done. And that is the way life goes on, like tug of war. It's not just a one-way traffic. Before I could say anything more, you gave me a comforting look of assurance, and I felt you were saying, in time, that means it takes time. In time, you will come to know, just as the seed that is sown blossoms in its own season. So, just as the seed blossoms in its own season, in time, you will get the answers to all that you have been seeking. We parted in silence, and as you began to walk away, I inwardly prayed to you with all my heart. Let the immaculate awareness latent in me be released. Immaculate means flawless, without any flaw, without any fault, without any defilement, very clean, very pure. Let the immaculate awareness latent in me. This immaculate awareness is latent in each one of us. There is nothing but purity in each one of us. There is nothing but bliss in each one of us. But it has been, what should I say, mixed up. There's a word. Uh, the fact of the matter is that there is nothing but bliss. But why is it that we are suffering? Because we are giving more importance to illusion, to Maya. So here the author is saying, let the immaculate awareness latent in me. It is all latent. It needs to be manifested. But before it is manifested, it gets alloyed with a lot of other thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Be released that I may live the prayer. I may live the prayer that flowed through me as a gift of your grace. The prayer that I just offered to you was the gift of your grace. But those were mere words. I am not living those words. So I pray to you that you bless me, that I live the words of the prayer that you so graciously graced me with. All right. So here we end one paragraph, one chapter. Anybody has anything to ask, share, convey? Nothing. Go ahead.
Page 92. Brief encounters with the awakener. 1. Deeper significance. We were sitting in the garden together, soaking up the sun on our backs. A deep sense of wonder filled me as I turned to you and quietly said, I tried to keep joy in my heart, but more often than not, I failed. I succumbed to boredom and sorrow. With a gleam in your eye, you replied, this is because you forget how to feel grateful to me in all that happens to you. Ah, is that why? It is simple. There is a perspective you're missing. And what is that? The knowledge that when you get a scratch, I have saved you from a larger wound. Really? But what if I get a wound? Then understand that I have saved you from a calamity. And what if a calamity befalls me? So what? Even if you die, the journey continues. It is just like changing clothes. And remember, I journey with you. Where does this journey lead? I asked. What, what use would it be to you if I were to tell you what happens to in the hereafter? You inquired. I don't know, but it may silence my troubled mind. I replied and then continued. It is my mind's way to pose an unending line of questions. Only the trust that I am with you, wherever you are, will offer you solace and fill your heart with joy. What? You wish for me to ever be an optimist and never a pessimist? Well, if you're fond of words, why not call yourself a pseudo mystic? You laughed and then continued. Understanding only through words is temporary and futile. I paused for a moment and added seriously, what a benediction it shall be if you bless me with wholehearted faith in your wish. Then my attachment to such feelings as boredom and sorrow will fall away in the breeze of your grace. When resigning yourself to my will comes naturally, I will be most willing to confer this blessing on you. But even your own expectation of receiving my grace has to be wiped out. Haven't you said this to me before? Though I have made this point before, the significance of my words is different. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. There are numerous other ways to arrive at the answer 4. You smiled and then went on. Let each moment of your life add up to my loving remembrance. Every moment is so infinitely renewing that to live in it is the answer to the question posed by the mind. For each moment in your life with me is the first and last moment of its kind. It is never repeated. These words drowned me in a sense of timelessness where there was neither sorrow nor joy, confusion nor understanding. Matchless peace and bliss overwhelmed me. When I emerged from it, I found you had gone. You had left your fragrance suffused in the beauty of the garden.
That's another small one. And there are quite a few like these, brief encounters with the awakening. That's why they are brief. Yeah, okay. One, that's the first one. Deeper significance. That's the title. We were sitting in the garden together, soaking up the sun on our backs. What a way to write, like sunbathing. A deep sense of wonder filled me as I turned to you and quietly said, I try to keep joy in my heart, but more often than not, I fail. I succumb to boredom and sorrow. Earlier also we had done something similar about boredom, if you remember. And Baba said that boredom is a lethargic void. Words to the effect, boredom is a lethargic void. And then Baba goes on to say, again words to the effect, that when you fail to see my aloneness in everything, you feel lonely and bored. So the whole emphasis is on being able to perceive Baba's presence in everyone and everything, and also in every situation that we are placed. So the emphasis is on wholehearted, constant remembrance. So here the author is saying, I try to keep joy in my heart, but more often than not, I fail. I succumb to boredom and sorrow. With a gleam in your eyes, you replied, this is because you forget how to feel grateful to me in all that happens to you. So, in other words, cultivating the art of gratitude in whatever we are going through, moment to moment, in His remembrance. When we fail to have that kind of a mindset, that everything that is happening to me is happening because of Baba's wish, and I'm okay with that. I accept it. So when that is lost, then we feel boredom, then we feel sorrow. Ah, is that why? It is simple. Baba says it is simple. There is a perspective you are missing. That means when that perspective is missed, that there has to be gratitude in every moment, that everything that we are going through, Baba also is our constant companion by going through whatever we are going through. If that perspective is lost, then we feel boredom and also the sorrow. So here it says, there is a perspective you are missing. And what is that? The knowledge that when you get a scratch, I have saved you from a larger wound. Elsewhere in the discourses, Baba had said that my name serves as a cushion, as a buffer, as a buffer. So whatever hurt that was predestined for you because of your past karma, but because of you remembering me, because of you keeping me as your constant companion, because of you coming in my love orbit, I cushion that fall. I use it as a buffer, and you get whatever you have to get, but you'll get it very, very little. Like somebody says, that if you were to, what Baba is trying to say is that if you were to walk a certain lane with all the thorns and glass pieces, then I will try to remove much of the glass pieces and the thorn, but still a little bit will prick you. But I will do that other job of cushioning your suffering. The knowledge that when you get a scratch, I have saved you from a larger wound. Really? But what if I get a wound? Now, Bal Natu is getting smarter. But what if I get a wound? Then understand that I have saved you from a calamity. It was a big calamity, but you only got a wound. What if a calamity befalls me? So what? Now Baba is giving idea. So what if a calamity befalls you? Even if you die, the journey continues. It is just like changing clothes. And remember, I journey with you. In other words, whatever we are going through, not only in this life, but also in the afterlife, Baba is always there with us. The problem is that we do not have the eyes and the ears to perceive that. We are unable to perceive that everything that we are going through, Baba is our partner, so to speak, business partner. He is also going through, but we are not aware of it. So he says, so what? Even if you die, the journey continues, and we all know that this physical death is not the termination of the journey. It's not a junction. It's not a complete end.
Terminus.
It's not a terminus. It continues. And that's why Baba says, none dies. None knows to die. The rare one who knows to die is never born again. That means the real death is the death of the individuality, of the separation, of the finitehood, of desires, of the finite mind. That is the real death. Otherwise, physical body dies, what does it matter? The journey continues. So here Baba says that so what if you die? The journey continues. It is just like changing clothes. How you change clothes every day, like that you change the body. You go, you die, you come with another body, you again die, you come with another body. And remember, I journey with you. What does this journey lead? Where does this journey lead? I asked. What use would it be to you if I were to tell you what happens in the year after? You inquire. So Baba is, in a sense, cutting out long explanations of what happens after you drop your physical body, the year after. What does it matter? Why do you want to know all these things? What use would it be to you if I were to tell you what happens in the year after? I don't know, but it may silence my troubled mind. My mind is so troubled that it may silence it. That's why I want to know. I replied and then continued. It is my mind's way to pose an unending line of questions. It is in the nature of the mind to keep asking questions. Baba has said, that those who have the spiritual maturity to understand the answers to spiritual questions do not ask. You see, and those who ask, it does not mean that people who are asking you should not ask. We just ask and ask and ask, and we get a temporary intellectual satisfaction. But these are just words. There is no experience backing it or following it up. And that is why it is in the nature of the mind to keep on asking questions. One answer to the question will open up a Pandora's box of another, questions and questions and questions. So here it says, it is my mind's way to pose an unending line of questions. Baba says, only the trust that I am with you wherever you are will offer you solace and will fill your heart with joy. So the central point is, wherever I am, whatever I am doing, whatever I am going through, Baba is there with me, also going through the same thing as I am going through. Only when we have this kind of a trust, Baba says, that trust will offer you solace and will fill your heart with joy. What? You wish for me to ever be an optimist and never a pessimist? That means you always want me to always be an optimist, always to look at the bright side of things, always to look at what is positive and never negative? Well, if you are fond of words, Baba says, why not call yourself a pseudo mystic? You're not a mystic, a pseudo mystic. You laugh and then continue. Now, this is again a very important sentence. Understanding only through words is temporary and futile. We try to understand intellectually, logically, through words. Baba says it is absolutely futile. Well, it may have a certain impact, but it has to translate itself into experience and not just remain as mere words. So Baba says, sorry. Well, if you are fond of words, sorry. Understanding only through words is temporary and futile. I paused for a moment and added seriously, what a benediction it shall be. Benediction would be a blessing, abundance of blessing. What a benediction it shall be if you bless me with wholehearted faith in your wish. So he's asking Baba, you please bless me that I have wholehearted faith in your wish, that whatever is happening to me, whatever I am undergoing, is only the result of your wish. Bless me with that faith. Then my attachments to such feelings as boredom and sorrow will fall away in the breeze of your grace. Then I will never again feel sorrowful or bored. When resigning yourself to my will, when resigning yourself to my will comes naturally, I will be most willing to confer this blessing on you. See the play of words. Baba is saying that when resigning to my will, to my wish, comes naturally. Here we are all studied. We are all making an effort to resign to his will. But all efforts should lead us to effortlessness. That is what the important point is. The longing should come naturally within us. And Baba says, when resigning yourself to my will comes naturally, it should come naturally, not studied or not with effort. I will be most willing to confer this blessing on you. The blessing that you experience everything that is happening as nothing but Baba's wish and will. But even your own expectation of receiving my grace has to be wiped out. So here Baba again is coming back to that point. Tarke dunya, tarke ukba, tarke maula, tarke tar. Resign the external world, tarke dunya, tarke ukba, resign the inner world, tarke maula, means resign your religion and all your religious faiths and belief. Tarke tar, resign the very thought that you have resigned everything or renounced everything to me. That is what Baba is aiming at. Even elsewhere, Baba had said that in the sixth plane of consciousness, the peer has the feeling of seeing God in everyone and everything. And there is an intense longing longing to become one with God. But that longing itself is the last vestige of a desire, of something which is lacking because you're not one with the Lord. So that, what should I say, vestige or residual of the desire also has to be given up at the fag end of the journey by sort of renouncing, it is your will, my Lord, not mine, not mine. Then that grace will descend. So here he is saying this, that even your own expectation of receiving my grace has to be wiped out. Only then you have to be so totally resigned to him that you do not even have a thought of receiving his grace. Unconditional, correct. Haven't you said this to me before? Baba says, though I have made this point before, the significance of my words is different. So here Baba is trying to say that I have said this before, umpteen number of times, but the context in which I have said it is different. So then Baba gives a superb example. Baba is giving the example. Though I have made this point before, the significance of my words is different. 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 multiplied by 2 is also 4. You can see that, And you smiled and then went on. At the end, there are numerous other ways to arrive at the answer 4. 5 minus 1 is 4, like that, So there are numerous ways of arriving at 4. So here I am giving you one way of arriving at 4, and that is to have unconditional faith in my wish and not even to expect my grace in return. That's what I would interpret it as, 2 plus 2 is 4, 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, and there are numerous other ways to arrive at the answer 4. You smiled and then went on. Let each moment of your life add up to my loving remembrance. Again and again, we are coming to the same point. Each moment should add up to his loving remembrance. Every moment is so infinitely renewing. Every moment may appear to be the same as following the last moment, the previous moment. But Baba says that if your awareness is heightened, then every moment of time is infinitely renewing. You will be able to gauge the nuances of each moment, different moment, as infinitely renewing. That to live it, that to live in it is the answer to the questions posed by the mind. You are posing the questions because you are not able to see the infinitely renewing every moment of your life. If you develop that awareness of being able to capture the infinite nuances, the infinite, what should I say? Baba is using the word renewal of life, then all these questions that are posed by your mind will not be posed at all. I'll read the last sentence. Let each moment of your life add up to my loving remembrance. For every moment is so infinitely renewing that to live in it is the answer to the questions posed by the mind. For each moment in your life with me is the first and the last moment of its kind. We all know that every moment is distinct and different from every other moment. And if we are able to appreciate that moment, that every moment of ours in Baba's companionship is the first and the last moment of its kind, and that it is never repeated. These words drowned me in a sense of timelessness where there was neither sorrow nor joy. There was neither sorrow nor joy. It was a point of timelessness. Confusion, sorry, nor joy. Confusion nor understanding. There was neither confusion, there was neither joy.
Understand.
So neither confusion nor understanding. Matchless peace and bliss overwhelmed me. When I emerged from it, I found you had gone. You had left your fragrance suffused in the suffuse would mean bathe, or you can say spread in the beauty of the garden. They were sitting in the garden. So here it ends another chapter. I don't want to take on a third one. We still have almost 12 minutes to go. Let me see. No, oh yeah, it's a small one. I think we could do that. It's a small one. We could do that.
What is right and what is wrong? I'm often confused about what's right and what is wrong. I confided in you one evening as we sat around the table drinking ginger tea. What you think is right may be wrong, and what you think as wrong may be right. You responded mischievously. Yes, your thoughts about right and wrong are consolidated opinions conditioned by your limited experiences. They are greatly influenced by your past actions. What does this mean? I asked. It means that you regard something as right or wrong owing to your self-centered perspective. As you attempt to put your own beliefs of right and wrong into action, you are becoming logged into your own version of how things should be. You impose your own ideas on others, judging them if they act differently. Under the surface, you also wish to exert your authority over others based on your age, status in society, or position in your family. You even unconsciously expect special returns for your so called good deeds. So, it's wrong to be right? I asked. In the very deepest sense, there is nothing wrong and nothing right. What you take to be absolute from my point of view is relative. Every distinction you make is limited by your selfish or even selfless expectations. I don't really understand this. Good, you replied, nodding in approval. You do not understand because you cannot see all the workings of creation. Accepting that you don't know, continue on your journey with me.
All right. It's a really short one. Good. We've seen it from the absolute standpoint of truth. There is nothing right, there is nothing wrong. It is all very relative. There is no absolute right or absolute wrong. It's only relative. And when we say relative, we mean it is very subjective. And when we say it is subjective, it means it is from my own perspective. It is how I perceive a thing to be right or to be wrong. And when I say it is subjective or my own perspective, it is somehow related to my past experiences of that particular thing. That's why we say this is right, this is wrong. So that's what Baba is trying to tell us in other words, that one should learn the art of objectively seeing things and not seeing it subjectively, not seeing it from my past experience of this is right and this is wrong. That's how I'm trying to sum up the chapter, because most of us do not see things and episodes as it is, as objectively as it is. We always see it through the lens. Lens means the chashma, the spectacle. Through the lens of our own past experiences connected with that thing. And since we are seeing it with our lenses, we are seeing a colored view of what is happening out there. There is no chashma, there is no lens, there is no spectacle which is one size fit all. They're all different. So something that is right for me could be wrong for somebody else. Something that is wrong for me could be right for somebody else. So
One man's food is another man's poison.
yeah, okay, one man's food is another man's poison. All right. What is right and what is wrong? I am often confused about what is right and what is wrong. I confided in you one evening as we sat around the table drinking ginger tea, one of our favorite beverages, ginger tea. What you think is right may be wrong, and what you take as wrong may be right. You responded mischievously. Yes, your thoughts about right and wrong are consolidated opinions. That's what I said. They are very subjective. They are based on your own experience, your own karmas, your own samskaras connected with that particular happening. Your thoughts about right and wrong are consolidated opinions conditioned by your limited experiences. They are conditioned. They are greatly influenced by your past actions. What does it mean? What does this mean? I asked. Baba says it means that you regard something as right or wrong owing to your self-centered perception. That means owing to your selfish perception. That means owing to my own karmas or samskaras, which are wound around my being, my mind, based on my past experiences connected with that particular person or with that particular object or what should I say, an occurrence or a event or a happening. So we have already, as we say, already always, we use that word already always. We have already created a preconceived notion and therefore a preconceived answer to whether this is right or this is wrong. So we do not see the thing as it is, but we see the thing based on our own past experience. All right. It means that you regard something as right or wrong owing to your self-centered perception. As you attempt to put your own beliefs of right and wrong into action, you can become locked into your own version of how things should be. Then we get into this is how it should be. There was a nice sentence which was said by Wayne Dyer. He was one of the American motivational speakers. This is my way. What is your way? There is no the way. There's no the way. But because of our preconceived notion, we consider my way as the way and impose that the way onto somebody else and say what you're doing is wrong. This is how it should be. So here, as you attempt to put your own beliefs of right and wrong into action, you can become locked up into your own version of how things should be. You impose your own ideas on others, judging them if they act differently. If they act in a different manner, you judge them and you evaluate them and you condemn them and say, no, this is not the right way, this is not correct, you are doing it wrong. You judge them. If under the surface, you also wish to exert your authority over others based on your age, status in society, or your position in your family. You even unconsciously expect spatial returns for your so-called good deeds. In other words, we impose ourselves on others based on our whatever status and all that in life. So it's wrong to be right? I ask. So is it wrong to be right? In a very deepest sense, there is nothing wrong and nothing right. What you take to be absolute, from my point of view, is relative. So every point of view that we hold about any issue, any occurrence, any event, any happening, or any person or thing is only relative and not absolute. Absolute right and there is absolute only one, that is the truth, and that is the only thing. Beyond that and out of that domain of the truth or right or advait or oneness, whatever you call it, is all duality. And in duality, there is always relativity, relatively light, relatively long, relatively good, relatively bad, vice, virtue, etc., etc. So Baba says, what you take to be absolute from my point of view, is relative. Every distinction you make is limited by your selfish or even selfless expectation. That means all our decisions, all our perceptions are based on either our selfish experiences or expectations or even selfless experiences or expectations. I don't really understand this. Good, you replied, nodding in approval. You do not understand because you cannot see all the workings of creation. Creation is a composite whole, like a jigsaw puzzle. And our vision, our perception is very much, what is it called? Myopic. Myopic or keyhole. It's very, very limited. And because we have a limited vision, we tend to compartmentalize and departmentalize things into right and wrong, good and bad. But if you take it from the whole point of view, it is all leading to that truth, which is the reality, which is the state of Aham Brahmasmi. So your Baba says, you do not understand because you cannot see all the workings of creation. Accepting that you don't know, continue on your journey with me. That means you accept that you do not know the whole truth and just continue with your journey towards me. Here we end this chapter as well. Anybody has anything to ask? I think we are already maybe half a minute more. Anything to share? Anything to ask? All right, let me see. It's still, yeah, Rakesh, go ahead.
Jai Baba, I just read a post where it was mentioned that Baba, his close disciple, will take them through the plains with a veil, and there will be desires left in them. Whereas someone who passes through the plains by himself, the desires are not left. So my question is that if Baba takes him to the sixth plane with desires still left there, then how does it go from there?
See, basically, Baba spoke about this for only his closest people, the circle members. I take my circle members blindfolded so that they do not get distracted on the power, the riddhi-siddhi of the planes. You see, so whether the desires remain or do not remain on the sixth plane, since those disciples are completely resigned to Baba, he will just switch off the desires if at all they remain. I have not read any of these, what you are saying. I have not read it, but you can give me the source, Even if they remain, they are so completely resigned to the Lord that he will just burn it off in a second, in no time. Whereas those on the plains, the desires, the desires are experienced. So there is a counterbalancing of experiencing of desires, and therefore the desires gets eradicated or annihilated. That's how I would interpret it. Okay, Rakesh?
All right. Thank you so much.
Jai Baba. So thank you, Acha. Before we end, there is a probability that next Saturday we may be traveling. So there will be no session on next Saturday, but we will definitely announce it in the group. Thank you, Baba. Thanks to everybody. Avtar Meher Baba ki Jai. Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.